There was nothing prompting Cassandra to go elsewhere after Maud had left the building, meaning there must have been more to see within the church. She noticed the man had vanished, and the blood-stained patch where Maud had fallen was now a barely noticeable stain, which meant time had passed yet again. The voices had faded, and the room was left in silence. As she turned, she noticed her footsteps could now be heard, as the grip from the floor parted with her movements. She reached out for the wall and was surprised when she could feel the cold, rough texture of the brick. A sudden cough startled her. It came from the floor above, where the ruthless act of violence had just taken place. The whole space had changed. There was now sheets covering the once vibrant stained glass windows. A desk which reminded her of Baxter's working area had also been added, although it was a lot less organised. She noticed a mass move from under blankets of a makeshift bed in the far corner, as another round of husky coughs rattled around the room.
Who are you?
A voice croaked from the shadowed area. Cassandra jumped at the sudden tone. It was the man who had attacked Maud. This time he was the one lying vulnerable, helpless and dying. She quickly thought back to the letter on Baxter's desk. She could only assume this man was Thomas Claring, judging by his protection over the church. I'm a friend of Baxter's, she replied quietly. He tilted his head to get a better look at her, as he cleared his throat once again, letting his words flow along with the breaths he could manage.
Baxter. How is he doing? I assume he's still busy with his work.
The sudden question forced an image into Cassandra's head, a vision that couldn't be unseen. She held her head as she found herself staring from the hall of Baxter's home, peering at a lifeless body on the floor by his workspace. His skin had turned to a greyish hue, and his once vibrant brown eyes were now clouded with an empty gloss. He was dead. The cough of the dying man brought her back to the room within the church, as she caught her breath trying to rid her mind of the image. Baxter's dead. Your disease killed him. The man pulled himself up with the little strength he could muster, as another round of thick bile was repelled from his throat. He was clearly shocked by Cassandra's words.
Baxter's dead?
Yes, and countless others. You took orders from the wrong people, and now you're paying the price. Their blood is on your hands.
It is not easy to reject orders from the church, my child.
So it's easier to infect hundreds, and then have your protégé try to right your wrongs? Cassandra questioned. The man croaked again, as he continued his explanation.
I have a family. I'll do anything to protect them. Whatever it takes.
I had a family too. So did Maud Taylor.
So that is why you are here. To kill me. To finish what she started.
To finish what she started. That was what she was doing in the church. Maud was there to kill him. For revenge. But as Cassandra had just witnessed, that had backfired massively. She may not have been around to see it, but she had unknowingly already completed what she had set out to do. Cassandra. She turned as she heard the sudden voice. In the doorway stood Maud, back to her antlered form. You're still here? Cassandra breathed. Not for much longer. Thanks to you. You've saved me, Maud replied, displaying a radiant smile. Before I leave, I need you to know, even if the world is against you, Cassandra, you're far from what you think of yourself. Work on changing that for me. I am so proud of you, and I know your mother would be too. Cassandra returned the smile, knowing her time with Maud was coming to an end. It was a moment she hoped would come eventually, but now she wasn't sure if she was ready to say goodbye. The world around her was beginning to fade to white as she watched Maud's antlers dissolve before her eyes. A panic surfaced as her mind suddenly shot to one last task which hadn't been completed. She knew exactly what she had to do. She quickly sprinted over to Maud, throwing her arms around her fading form. Wait. There's still something you need to do. Trust me. Maud looked at Cassandra in confusion as she watched her step away from her, smile still remaining on her face as she looked up at her with glistening eyes. I no longer want you here, Cassandra breathed, those words sending her companion back to the world she had become accustomed to. Maud's eyes widened as the white void suddenly turned to darkness, and her discarded antlers reappeared. What have you done? Maud shuddered. Goodbye, Cassandra sobbed before disappearing completely, leaving Maud alone once again in the darkness, in the void she had been kept in as a prisoner since her death. Cassandra, what have you done? Her shaking breaths were carried throughout the void. Had she been betrayed after everything she'd been through? What did Cassandra have to gain from that? Her mind was scattered as she closed her eyes tightly, trying to rid her mind of her assumptions.
Maud.
A familiar voice echoed, causing her to open her eyes. Her lip trembled at the sudden sight. It was Baxter, standing before her with a warm smile gracing his face as his gaze set upon her.
It's over now. I'm sorry I didn't notice what was happening to you when you were alive. Your rage and hatred has consumed you, my darling.
The painful sentence she had endured throughout the years had made her doubt all possibilities of ever seeing him again. She couldn't help but be dismissive at the sight of him. Stop this. I've seen visions of you for as long as I can remember. What did I do that was so wrong to deserve this? The smile remained on his face as he reached out to touch her, but she tensed and shifted before he could do so.
It's me. I give you my word. I am here to take you home. Bring you back to where you're supposed to be.
She was still hesitant, but her eyes hadn't left his face, silently praying that this time the figure standing before her might actually be real, and not just a vision conjured up by her hopeful mind. We didn't get the ending we wanted. Is that why I keep seeing you? A reminder of the life that we could have had. They took that from us.
You saw the world around you during your time with Cassandra. We did beat this. We may not have been around to see it, but we did our part.
He tried again to offer her his hand.
You trusted me before. Trust me now. I've been searching for you for so long. I never stopped looking. I promised we'd be together in the end. Come with me. Please.